The real cost of living abroad, 6 hidden expenses no one talks about. Hey everyone, my name is Alex and I'm a lead consultant with Expat Exact, an expatriate and relocation agency aiding you in finding the destination that matches your destiny. And in this video, we're talking about the hidden expenses of moving abroad. You've done the research, you've looked at the cost of renting your dream country, you've calculated what groceries will run you each month, and you've factored in utilities and transportation. You're feeling good about the budget. You're ready to make the move. But here's the thing that catches almost every expat off guard. Living abroad isn't just about swapping your rent payment from one country to another. There's a whole ecosystem of expenses that exist in the background. Costs that don't show up in these glossy expat lifestyle blogs or the cost of living calculators online. These are the real financial realities that can make or break your international adventure, and understanding them before you move can save you from some serious financial stress down the road. In this video, we're breaking down 6 hidden expenses that can significantly impact your budget when living abroad. These aren't scare tactics. These are real costs that every expat needs to understand and plan for. Let's dive into the financial realities that most people don't discover until they're already committed to life overseas. Let's start with the big one, taxes. This is where a lot of people get blindsided, and it can completely change the math on whether living abroad actually saves you money. When you're researching countries, you'll see terms like territorial taxation thrown around, and it sounds great. It means the country only taxes income earned within its borders. Countries like Costa Rica and Panama use territorial taxation, which means if you're earning money from sources outside the country, you might not owe local taxes at all. But here's where it gets complicated. A lot of countries don't use territorial taxation. Instead, they tax you on your worldwide income once you become a tax resident, which typically happens if you spend more than 183 days in the country within a year. Countries like Spain, Portugal, France, and Germany all operate this way, and their tax rates, they can be significantly higher than what you're used to. Let's say you're moving from the United States and you're earning $80,000 a year working remotely. You decide to move to a European country with progressive taxation. You can be looking at an effective tax rate of 30 to 45%, depending on the country and your income bracket. That could be a massive hit to your take home pay that completely changes your cost of living calculation. And if you're a US citizen, you've got an extra layer of complexity because the United States taxes the citizen on worldwide income no matter where they live. Yes, there's the foreign earned income exclusion that can shield about $120,000 of your income from US taxes, and there's the foreign tax credit that prevents double taxation. But you still have to file US taxes every single year. And then there are social security contributions. Many countries require you to pay into their social systems even if you're working remotely for a foreign company. These aren't technically income taxes, but they come out of your paycheck just the same. In some European countries, these contributions can add another 10 to 20% on top of your income tax. So that country that looked affordable suddenly becomes significantly more expensive once you factor in your true tax burden. The bottom line, before you commit to a country, you need to understand not just the advertised tax rate, but how taxation actually works for someone in your specific situation. Talk to a tax professional who specializes in expat taxation. This single expense can add thousands or tens of thousands of dollars to your annual cost, and it's something you need to budget from day one. Next up, we need to talk about something that seems small but adds up to a shocking amount over time: currency conversion spreads and international transfer fees. When you're living abroad but earning money in your home currency, you're constantly moving money across borders, and every single transaction comes with a cost. Here's how this plays out in real life. Let's say you're getting paid in US dollars but living in Europe where you need euros. Your paycheck hits your US bank account, and now you need to transfer it to your European account to pay rent, buy groceries, and cover your daily expenses. If you're using a traditional bank wire transfer, you're getting hit with fees on both ends. Your US bank charges you a fee to send the money, and your European bank charges you a fee to receive it. We're talking about $25 to $50 per transfer, sometimes more. Yes, there are some banks that have reduced or minimal fees, but for many, the real killer isn't the transfer fee, it's the currency conversion spread. Banks don't give you the actual exchange rate you see on Google. They give you their exchange rate, which includes a markup that can range anywhere from 2 to 5%. And so if the real exchange rate is $1 equals 92 cents in euros, your bank might give you 90 cents in euros per dollar. That difference goes straight into the bank's pocket, and on a $3,000 monthly transfer, you could be losing $60 to $150 every single month just on the spread. Over the course of a year, that's $720 to $1,800 disappearing into conversion fees. And if you're making multiple transfers per month, maybe you're sending money for rent, then again for other expenses, it compounds even faster. This is one of those expenses that's invisible until you actually sit down and calculate how much you're losing to the financial system. Now, there are better options out there. Services like Revolut and Wise specialize in international transfers and offer much better exchange rates and lower fees. Wise, for example, uses the actual mid market exchange rate and charges a small, transparent fee, usually less than 1%. That can save you hundreds of dollars per month compared to traditional banks. But even with these better services, you still need to factor in the time value of money. If you're getting paid monthly and there's a delay in transferring and converting currency, and the exchange rate moves against you during that window, you can lose even more. Currency fluctuations are real and they can work for you or against you, but you can't control them. The lesson here: factor currency conversion into your budget as a real expense. If you're transferring $3,000 per month, budget for at least $50 to $100 per month in conversion costs, even with the best services. And if you're using a traditional bank, multiply that by 3 or 4. This is a hidden tax on living abroad that never goes away as long as you're earning in one currency and spending in another. Here's something that doesn't show up in cost of living comparisons, but hits your wallet hard once you're actually living somewhere: the cost of imported goods and familiar brands. When you're visiting a country on vacation, you eat local food, you try local products, and everything feels affordable and exotic. But when you're living somewhere a long term, you could crave familiar things from home, and those familiar things sometimes come with a massive markup. I'm not just talking about a bag of Oreos, but perhaps even a mango that's not a popular fruit in your new destination. Let's break this down. Every country has its own economy with its own import tariffs, shipping costs, and distribution networks. If you're living in a country that imports most of its consumer goods, everything costs more. And if you specifically want American brands or specific international goods, let's say in Europe or European brands in Asia, or basically anything that's not produced locally, you could be paying premium prices. Here are some real world examples. A box of American breakfast cereal that costs $4 in the US might cost $8 to $12 in parts of Europe or Asia. A jar of peanut butter, something Americans take for granted, can run you $10 or more in countries where it's not a staple food. Electronics, cosmetics, over the counter medications, toiletries. If these products are imported, they're marked up significantly. And it's not just American products. If you're moving to a smaller economy or a country that's geographically isolated, almost everything is imported. Countries in Central America, Southeast Asia, and many island nations import the majority of their consumer goods. This means you're paying not just for the product itself, but for international shipping, customs duties, distributor markups, and retail markups. A simple tube of toothpaste or a bottle of shampoo can cost double what you pay back home. The economic conditions of the country matter too. If the local currency is weak against major currencies like the dollar or euro, imported goods become even more expensive for locals and expats alike. Inflation rates, import restrictions, and government tariffs all play a role. In some countries, you'll find the electronics are outrageously expensive because of high import taxes designed to protect local industries that don't exist. Now, you can adapt and buy local products. Local brands are almost always cheaper. But there's a learning curve, and some products just don't have local equivalents. You might not find the specific skincare products you're used to, or the supplements you take, or the snacks your kids like. And when you do find them at an international grocery store or specialty shop, prepare to pay 2 to 3 times what you'd pay at home. The solution isn't to avoid familiar products entirely. That's not realistic for people. The solution is to budget for it. If you're used to spending $100 a month on toiletries and household goods at home, budget $150 to $200 abroad. Accept that this comfort premium is part of the cost of living internationally, and either adjust your budget or adjust your expectations about what you buy. The next thing is understanding living abroad isn't just involved, it's legally and financially complex in ways that sometimes require professional help. And professional help costs money. This is an expense that sneaks up on people because when you're living in your home country, you probably don't need an international tax accountant, an immigration lawyer, or specialized financial advisors. But the moment you move abroad, these professionals become essential and their fees can run into the thousands of dollars per year. Let's start with accountants. If you're moving to a country with a different tax system, you need someone who understands both your home country tax obligations and your new country's tax laws. For US citizens, this is especially important because you're filing taxes in both countries. A specialized expat tax accountant typically charges anywhere from $500 to $2,000 per year just to prepare your returns, and that's for straightforward situations. If you have foreign bank accounts, foreign investments, rental properties, or business income, those fees can easily double or triple. Then there's the cost of getting your visa in the first place and maintaining it over time. Immigration lawyers who specialize in helping expats navigate visa requirements charge consultation fees, application fees, and renewal fees. Depending on the complexity of your visa category, you could be looking at $1,000 to $5,000 just to get your initial visa sorted. And that's not a one time cost. Many visas require renewal every 1 to 3 years, and each renewal comes with more legal fees and government filing fees. Some countries make the visa process relatively straightforward, but others have complex requirements around proof of income, health insurance, background checks, notarized documents, and translations. Each of these steps costs money. You'll need certified translations of official documents, which can run $50 to $150 per document. You'll need notarized copies of everything, which means more fees. You'll need passport photos, medical exams, police clearance certificates. It all adds up. And if anything goes wrong, if your visa application is delayed, if you need to appeal a decision, if regulations change and you need to adjust your status, you're paying more legal fees to sort it out. Immigration law is not something you want to DIY, especially when a mistake can result in deportation or being banned from returning to the country. Financial advisors are another professional expense that many expats don't anticipate. If you have retirement accounts, investments, or assets back home, you need advice on how to manage them while living abroad. Some investment accounts have restrictions for people living outside their home country. Tax treaties affect how your investments are taxed. You might need guidance on foreign asset reporting requirements. All of this requires specialized knowledge and specialists charge accordingly. The bottom line, budget for professional fees when you're living abroad and potentially more in your first year when you're just getting everything set up. These professionals aren't optional. They're protecting you from making expensive mistakes with your taxes, your visa status, and your financial future. It's an investment in doing things right, but it's an investment you'll need to pay for. Here's a cost that's easy to underestimate until you're living it: the expense of maintaining connections to your home country while living abroad. This includes flight back home to see family and friends, and also includes the cost of maintaining property, subscriptions, or any aspect of your old life that you're not ready to give up entirely. Let's talk about travel first. When you live in your home country, visiting family might mean a short drive or a cheap domestic flight. When you're living on another continent, it means international airfare that can easily run $800 to $2,000 per person per trip, depending on when you're flying from and to. And you're not just going home for fun, you're going home for weddings, funerals, graduations, holidays, emergencies. These aren't optional trips you can skip to save money. If you have kids, multiply those costs by your family size. A family of four flying from Europe to the United States for Christmas could be looking at $4,000 to $8,000 just in airfare, and that's before hotels, rental cars, and all the other costs of being home. Even if you're only going back once or twice a year, that's a massive chunk of your budget. But travel costs are just the beginning. Many expats maintain some form of presence in their home country, and that costs money too. Maybe you're keeping a storage unit with belongings you couldn't bring with you. That's $100 to $300 per month. Maybe you're maintaining a car that's registered in your home state because you'll need it when you eventually move back. That's insurance, registration, and possibly storage fees. Maybe you own property and you're renting it out, which means you're paying property management fees, maintenance costs, and dealing with repairs from thousands of miles away. Then there are subscriptions and services you might be maintaining. Maybe you're keeping your home country phone number active so you can receive two-factor authentication codes and stay connected to your banks. That's a monthly bill. Maybe you're keeping a mailing address service so you can receive important documents. That's another monthly fee. Maybe you're maintaining professional licenses or memberships that require a home country address. More fees. And let's not forget the emotional cost that translates into financial cost. When you live far from home, you miss important moments. You can't just drive over for a weekend when a friend is going through a hard time. You can't be there for every birthday or milestone. So when you do make it home, you often feel pressure to make the most of it, which means spending more on dinners out, activities, and gifts to make up for lost time. The reality is that most expats don't completely sever ties with their home country, nor should they. But maintaining those ties costs money, easily $3,000 to $10,000 per year, depending on how often you travel and what you're maintaining back home. This needs to be a part of your budget. Don't make the mistake of thinking that living abroad means you'll never spend money on your home country again. For most people, that's simply not realistic. And finally, we need to talk about something that hits you hard in the first few months, but can continue to drain your budget for your entire first year: the cost of reestablishing your life in a new country. This is all the stuff you need to buy, replace, or set up when you're starting fresh in a new place, and it adds up shockingly fast. Let's start with furniture. Unless you're moving into a fully furnished place and paying premium rent for that privilege, you're going to need some furniture. Maybe you ship some furniture from home, but shipping costs are astronomical, so most people start over. That means buying a bed, a couch, a dining table, chairs, storage solutions, kitchenware, linens, towels, all the stuff that makes a house livable. And then there's the climate factor. If you're moving from a temperate climate to a tropical one, or from a warm place to somewhere with freezing winters, your entire wardrobe might be useless. You need to buy appropriate clothing for the local weather: winter coats, boots, and layers if you're moving somewhere cold. Lightweight, breathable clothing if you're moving somewhere hot and humid. This can easily run into the hundreds or thousands of dollars depending on how drastic the climate difference is. And here's something that catches a lot of people off guard: electrical voltage differences. If you're moving from North America to Europe or from Europe to Asia, the voltage and plug types are different. Small electronics like phone chargers usually work with adapters, but high wattage items like hair dryers, air purifiers, coffee makers, and other appliances simply don't work. You can't just use an adapter. The voltage difference will fry your device if not immediately over time. So you're replacing all these items with versions that work in your new country. Let's do some math here. A good hair dryer costs $50 to $100. An air purifier runs $150 to $300. Coffee maker, toaster, blender, electric kettle, space heaters, every appliance you took for granted back home needs to be replaced. And because you're buying these items in your new country, you're paying local prices, which might be higher than what you're used to because of import costs and local market conditions. Then there are the miscellaneous setup costs that you don't think about until you need them. Security deposits for apartments are often higher abroad, sometimes 2 or 3 months rent up front. Utility connection fees, internet installation, local phone plan setup, transportation costs while you're figuring out the local system. Maybe you need to buy a bike or a scooter, or you're spending a lot on taxis and ride shares until you understand the public transport. And let's not forget all the random stuff you didn't know you needed until you got there: different cleaning products because the ones you're used to aren't available, kitchen items that match the local cooking style, adapters and converters for every electronic device you own, a local SIM card, a local bank account setup fee, fees to get a local driver's license. The list goes on and on. The reality is that your first few months in a new country are expensive. You're constantly realizing you need to buy something, replace something, or set something up. A realistic budget for reestablishing your life in a new country ranges depending on what you're able to bring with you and what you need to replace. This isn't a recurring cost, but it's a major one time expense that you need to have saved up before you move. Don't underestimate it. The real math of living abroad. So, there you have it, six hidden expenses that can completely change the financial equation of living abroad. Taxes could cost you an extra $5 to $20,000 per year, depending on your income and where you move. Currency conversion and transfer fees can easily run $600 to $2,000 annually. The markup on imported goods and familiar brands might cost another $1,200 to $3,000 to your yearly costs. Professional fees for accountants, lawyers, and advisors could be $1,500 to $3,000 per year. Travel home and maintaining ties to your home country might cost $3,000 to $10,000 annually. And that's the first year. You're looking at $5,000 to $15,000 in setup costs for reestablishing your life. You need to do the math, and that's the difference between living abroad being affordable and living abroad being a financial disaster. But here's the thing, I'm not telling you this to discourage you from moving abroad. I'm telling you this so you can plan properly. The expats who thrive financially overseas are the ones who understand these costs going in and budget for them. They're not surprised when they get a tax bill. They're not shocked that currency conversion eats into their budget every month. They've already factored in professional fees and travel costs and setup expenses. Be smart, be prepared, and make sure your dream of living abroad doesn't turn into a financial nightmare. So, if you're planning on moving in the next 3 years or less, our agency specializes in finding individuals a new place they can call home by reviewing your current status, understanding your goals, learning about you and anyone accompanying you, but more importantly, informing you about your options as a smart, financially educated mover. Just visit expatexact.com and schedule your consultation today.